everybody, this is Jurgita. Welcome back if you're returning. I posted a video of my all the new stash acquisitions, or as I call it, Precious Pretties edition. So I'm back with the end of the month update. If you're curious, then stay tuned. It's not going to be any big life updates because it's nothing special happening in those 2 weeks that was, and so I'll just get on with a short video about my stitchy things, what I've done. And in those 2 weeks since my last recording, I worked on the six whips. Geez, it's getting evening, so getting tired. And out of those 6, it's 3 sort of like a finishes. So, well, I'll start maybe in a row or whatever the way I wanted to grab it in this show. So, I worked on this made in China kit that was pre-printed on a 14 count fabric, and I didn't do a lot, maybe like 4 hours only. So it's a snow leopard. Original is a dimensions kit, but it was hard to get, so I decided to try this. And if you don't remember, or you're brand new, I'm doing a Facebook Lithuanian group comparison dimensions kit, like original versus like a Chinese version. So I have a Chinese, so that's what I have in total. So from further away, you can kind of start seeing the big picture. I've done now about, in a total, about half, if you add what's from other half into this. So it's almost half. So it's very weird to see, you know, all those strange colors and oranges, and it becomes like this blue sky instead of this kind of thing. But it's very easy, you know, a little travel place, as long as, you know, your hands are not wet or you put anywhere water, there is humidity, so those wouldn't wash off. And so you can tell by the back side how much it's done. So it's all that is stitched in, so you can kind of see the big picture here, right? It's very easy to stitch. I still use a frame, even though it's a little bit stiffer fabric, but it's not too much. And needle was included, and it's with 2 threads over 1, of course, you know. And what else can I tell you about this? You can still see like colors right through it, where there was like orange and red behind it, hiding still, like especially those bright ones. It's supposed to wash out, so then it should be better see. So that's what I'm working slowly, month by month. Not very fast, I guess, work. It's not that much of a hurry to do. And at the very end, it's going to be a little bit back stitching, I believe, like you know, like his whiskers too. There's some thread still hanging. Something like a whiskers is going to be as a back stitching, but that would be like it, which in dimensions I know they have a little bit more of the back stitching for him to do. But my daughter keeps asking, are you going to finish my little leopard? And I probably will be working each month at least few hours or days, maybe even, on it, because once you start working, then you can kind of, you know, watch like a Flosstube or YouTube or a movie or a game, you know, and just work as long as you hit the colors coded. The only thing that I stumbled upon it with this was it was not printed like everywhere, like 100% perfectly. So a couple of times I have to compare to like pattern on this glistening paper, that make sure that that's the number it is there, that's like would be here, the color. But other than that, it's just going in and putting in by the color in here. So it's not very hard to do, something easy to do, and as you can see, it's fairly easy. Of course, I can wash it out and just go by the paper pattern, but this is easier than that. So then, I can't believe I'm gonna tell you this, but I haven't finished what I call Witch's Brew. So this is what original is gonna be like, with no name, little pillowcase that I got at a library sale. And I'm very slowly working that. I mean, it's literally like one day and you would be finished. So I've done more black stitching in, and it's this a little bit softer than burlap fabric would be, and it's with 2 threads. It's just digging in, and the way you stitch, if you never done it, it's pre-sewn, so you kind of have to hold it in and make sure you don't stitch this fabric with it. So yeah, and then will be some like a button sewed in there, or you can add anything Halloweenish that you like, and then to get a pillow to fit in there. So it was pre-sewn, it came like this with all the threads included, as a, like, you know, this ball of bundle kind of thing, but it's not bad. I know before Halloween it will be over, will be done. Perhaps this month I'll finish it. So that's another project I worked on super slowly in the car, because you stitch what you want to stitch, and I wanted to do something else instead of it. So that's that. Then I had like a finish, at least stitching part finish, is this Lizzie Kate's Hello Spring small little kit. And what I had is I used all DMC colors, and you can choose to do or not to do, and I counted 13 of them. I haven't compared to pattern. I kind of forgot because I finished fairly quickly, but you can see all these colors right here, what goes in it. And it still has some buttons that I need to sew on, and little backing fabric that was included in the kit. And in this I worked about, so this whole thing stitching might take like 8 hours. I did slowly with 8 hours. So all my stitching here is done. So ta-da-da-da, that's what's finished. And I don't know, I wanted to ask you, I put my like initial and years here, but it's very blended in color. So would you suggest like making like a dark color or blue color and put it in? I did it in a basket, so I don't know if you can see. It's very like a blending in thing. So I'm still deciding where should I put in my initials and years. So I would remember my like descendants, if they would keep that, I would remember what year it was made. So I'll be hoping to get any of your suggestions for this. So all of the stitching is done, and you know, there is a little vase in there. So it looks slightly different than what it would look like with over-dyed colors, but I don't think it's that bad. And of course, you know, like always, sample and a picture and the original usually is slightly different looking, but it's not a lot of backstitching to have it done in here. And there are several, you know, one stitch like this guy's eye or a little beak. It's just one cross and you're done kind of thing. So yeah, so that was one of my stitch part finishes. And then I worked, make sure those buttons don't loose. I worked on what do you call it, Summer Ball by Sandy Littlejohns. It was in the magazine, and I'm using from Russian magazines, made a printout. So that's sort of my Pride and Prejudice project going on. I haven't posted on that Facebook group in a while. Oops. So anyway, so started from a very edge, and I'm working over to what's it, 28 I believe count. So what I've done, how much did I work? Quite a bit. I worked quite a bit, quite a few days on it and hours. So what I've done, it was like part of his leg here missing, and the girls had just a little bit of the skin showing. So I finished all her dress, finished all her skin. There you can see kind of some darker skin showing, which I'm doing 1/1, and I finished this girl's all of the skin. I did not do any back stitching, but you can kind of see, because of that, is just like a dark blur somewhere where there's a shading. When I was doing his back stitching, nose and eyes area, at first it looked like a dark blobs there. So those are done, and I'm almost done with her dress, and you can kind of already start seeing somebody else's head that this lady is talking to. But this one is going to be like, you know, bustier here area, back stitching done, of course, face back stitching, and then there's like tiny bit of floor left. So that's pretty much the full height of this. It's going to be long, is when compared to, like, you know, like this whole thing. So I've done just like this little part, so there's still this whole long area to do, but it's looking much better, brighter colors than, of course, I printed, and I think it's way too much red in here showing up compared to this. But I'm very happy it's how it's turning out, and the nice bright colors and the curtains and everything. And I still laugh out of this candle that looks to me like some kind of Minecraft zombie creature. So yeah, that's gonna be hanging my piano room, maybe over the doorway to it. So that's what I worked quite a bit on. And I think you can buy this pattern now at the Cross Stitch Arts Facebook for like £5, British pounds, I believe. And then I worked also on something that you'll recognize, unless I don't know where else you've been living. So, a Lady of the Flag. I stopped because I ran out of Kreinik and one color bead that I needed, and on the leaves everywhere I'm using 2 threads of Kreinik. I think it might be suggested only one. It doesn't say what you use, 1 and 2. So if you stitch this or any other, you know, Mirabilia patterns, if it's not suggested how many threads to use, how many do you use? I've tried with 1 in some places, and you can kind of still see, like in here, for example, this leaf, shiny leaf, is done 1/1, and you can still kind of see when you look up close the fabric behind it. And then I decided to try out like 2/2 threads, and it kind of sticks out, pops out more. So if you've done it, what do you think you like more, or it's easier for you? So I don't know if the spool was supposed to be just for using 1 thread or 2. So I stopped, and it's all the way done to the bottom, so that's done, and I'm starting to work upwards with the, like a beading. There's just some left in here to do, and a little bit like a here, I believe, beading to do, and then I'm gonna just jump up, because as you can see, it's all those back stitching done in here, and gonna have to roll up then, and it's gonna be top portion of her. And I was ordering some stuff from 123 Stitch, and those 2 things, they didn't have it at the time. A couple of times I looked in a row, and it's like, maybe I was too impatient, but it's like, really, that's what I need to continue this, and I really wanted to work on. So I'm working in this printed fabric. You can see kind of my back, it's white, with the people fabric with all the writings on it, and in some lighter areas you can kind of, like here, you can see it showing all the way through, but maybe later when it's washed, maybe it will, the thread maybe will expand a little bit and kind of fill in those empty spaces. But yeah, that's my lady that I had to put down. I really wanted to work on that one. So I'm gonna be waiting for my next shipment from a different store to get this if 123 doesn't have it. So that's my mirror, because I've told you before that I probably always will have a heaven and earth design going on project, because it's big. It takes years to do if you're doing something else besides it also. Then Mirabilia I will have, and some bunch of smalls probably, so it's like constantly is gonna have something like that happening. Trying to look, what else did I miss? Yeah, okay, so my big one that as you've seen it before and from others, my Washington Crossing giant project that I'm doing collaboration with over 100 other ladies. And I looked at in total in July month I finished 2 full pages what was printed for me, and in the past, so I finished 1 page right after I did the video for last time, and then after that I finished page 9. So I'll show you what it is a total. So as you can see, this is the width, and all my markings here is what is gonna be left of the 10th page. So very little, and I should be done with the first row. So that's the row width. And the way sometimes when I get confused where I did, like in the beginning of last month, which was July, I was down to here, so I finished all of that. And I know I don't have a lot of colors, but it's very monotonous work done, and still you want to make sure you get it correctly, even though probably doesn't make huge difference, because colors are fairly similar. But once you start looking from far away, so you can kind of start seeing like a little bit darker here. So what my piece is gonna be is, when you look at the painting of Washington Crossing, Delaware, on the very top right corner is what my piece is gonna look like. If I can, I'll insert a picture. Of that part, but I've done that, and once I finish that itty bitty piece, I'm gonna start the second row. So it's very exciting. By my calculations, I should be finishing 1 row per half a year, and we started February 22nd on Washington's birthday, so I'm all good till end of August practically to have a row. So I'm right there on the track, and I try not to do too much because I don't want to get too tired of this project, and it's a 5-year project, so I'm working slowly, little by little. And let's see, to finish off, I'm gonna show you what I'm just started working past few days. Is my very first ever round robin that I'm doing with 3 other ladies, and we're all in US. And right now we have my second piece, and we could choose which element we wanted to stitch, and the DMC over dye thread was given to us. So what I decided to pick, I'm gonna show you just a part of the pattern because I don't know if it's free or not. So I'm doing this little dragon, not dragon, I don't know what you call those. There's gonna be like a yellow here, and so anyway, I'm using here DMC 115, so that's a color, and figure out to do the shading the way I want it. It's like a head and a tips would be, I try to use where the brighter, and same like with his belly, like a lighter. Once I figured out where the thread is going to become lighter, so I try to just stitch like lighter, and So I think that turned out like experiment, a little bit interesting, you know, instead of just doing and like a row like that, I kind of went to different ways. And if you're curious how I did his wings, so I did with the dark ones, and I did just the edges of those, going a little bit and coming back, a little bit and coming back. And when I got a thread where it was lighter colors, I just finished off the bottom portions of his wings. So that's how he looks like. And the owner of this project, I guess, this part of a project, gave us all these very cute magnets that we could pick. So of course I picked the one with the like a red, how many it has? 3-headed dragon. So thank you, Anne. So yeah, and she did a border, and I'm just doing my own border that you can kind of see here hiding. It's gonna be framed up, but yeah, a couple more days and it should be done and going to the next person. So round robins is very fun to do. I think I'm gonna do again, and it was exciting, and I get to talk to people, and then you find out that somebody's relatives live in the same town that you live. So yeah, small world, right? Okay, for non-stitcher related, last time I asked you guys of a book that I couldn't remember the name, and just sort of like idea what was written in the book, because I read it many years ago. And like practically same day I got a couple answers. A couple ladies wrote back, so thank you for such a fast answer back to me what the book was. So I ran in the Barnes & Noble and I got it. And it's this one, Historian, because I like supernatural. I like all the stuff Dracula. I've seen probably all the documentaries there is about it. And it's by Elizabeth Kostova, and it's fairly thick book. Let's see, it's how many pages? That's an extra thing. That's pretty big one. They're still doing. The story is 676 pages, so you don't get to read the back anyway. So yeah, so it's also she has the Swan Thief, so I'm curious to read about that. So if you like story about Dracula, and it's not just like a love story, but it's kind of going back and forth in the history of lady's father, when he starts retelling his story, how he got involved in this research, and previous owner of the, what do you call that, like a traveling thing to do, they have to do, it's my duty to do kind of thing. So it's interesting. I'm not super far in, because I got sucked in a different book, so that's how much I read only. But yeah, memory brings it back slowly but slowly, and I still don't remember how it ended. I don't think it ended happily ever after, I love you kind of thing. So if you like this kind of stuff, grab it from library or from a bookstore and try to read it. And if you're curious, I can tell you more about it, and even if you want to hear how it ends. So that's that. Now for what I'm gonna hoping to do in month of August. Not sure, but probably I'm gonna finish my round robin and send that out, because we have to do by 14th of month. I'm hoping to work on a lady of flag, because I really would love to do as much as possible, because it kind of stopped me. I wanted to finish by September 11th, but I don't know if it will get it finished. So I'm hoping to finish Witch's Brew, little pillow that I showed you, and I don't know what else I'll work on, so you'll just get a chance to see it. So if there's some project that you remember that I was working on as my whip, and or like if I finished, if you'd like to know all about it, let me know below. And if you have any other interest questions, just put it down below too. And if you like the way I do separate video for my stash acquisition, so I don't have to show you here. If I have more than a couple items, I might do separately if you'd like. So let me know about that too. So I don't know if I'll do again in 2 weeks or not, because I want to spend more time stitching. So until next time, I probably will, it's time for me to do Lithuanian, maybe even in Russian language videos. So if you want to hear that, I'll be putting in my parentheses probably which language it is. So if you want to listen, that's fine. If you want to try to understand anything, that's fine too. So until the next time, this was Jurgita with Magic Pawn Crafts, and I'm saying bye-bye, Iki.